So good morning, ladies.
Good
morning.
Welcome to the first episode of Conversations from the Vault. This is exciting.
Yes.
And so we're going to be talking about jewels and treasures across Johnston County and the region. And the first topic today is going to be Launch JoCo, but I wanted to introduce the audience to our guest today. So to my right, I have Melissa Overton, and you are the owner of medicaltraining.me. And you're also the chair of the Clayton Chamber of Commerce's Workforce Development Committee and the project manager for Launch JoCo.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you.
And then Teresa, welcome this morning. Teresa is the owner of the McDonald Group, training and consulting firm. And you were also a Launch JoCo student in the inaugural class. So glad to have you this morning. And then we have Angelina Corroo. And Angelina Corroo is a realtor with HomeTowne Realty, and you're also the sponsor of this podcast, so thank you very much. I think it sort of, it put the fuel into the fire. This is something that we've been talking about for quite some time, and so we're glad that you believe in this podcast, and we're excited. You're also the chair for the Clayton Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And you were a mentor for a student in the Launch JoCo program. So I'm very excited to have you guys here with me today.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. All right. So wanted to talk a little bit first about maybe how Launch JoCo came to be and, the inception and the idea behind it. And I'll let you take that one, Melissa.
Yeah. So when I was given the role of Workforce Development Committee Chair, I started thinking about, like, when you're part of a committee, the worst thing in the world that can happen is when you don't get the opportunity to do meaningful work. Like, you go to the meetings, but, like, what meat comes out of it? So I was able to sit down with our current board chair at the time, Melissa Overton, as well as you, Dana, and say, kind of what is your vision? And I believe it was you that brought this up and said, hey, there's this Launch My City program. It's kind of sweeping across the nation, and Wake County has done this very successfully. It's a Rotary-based program, but it's definitely a collaborative. Maybe we should consider it. So as I started asking questions about it, basically the program was developed out of Detroit, Michigan, because a lot of people go into business for themselves because they do something really well. But it doesn't mean that they know how to run a business. So a lot of times those businesses fail within the first 5 to 10 years just because passion isn't enough to get the job done. So what the Launch program does is it collects these individuals that are entrepreneurs and small businesses and brings them in and does like an intense 10 to 12 week training session. I call it like a mini MBA program. What parts of your business have you built because that's what you knew how to do, and what did you completely miss, where are the pitfalls? After those 12 weeks of education, we match them up with mentors such as Angelina in our community who come in and volunteer 4 hours of their time monthly for 6 months to take that information and help them keep the momentum with growing. And what we have experienced through this first year is that those relationships that have been forged don't seem to be ending in 6 months for most. And that's been a pleasant surprise for us and a challenge as we recruit new people coming in as mentors. So that's kind of how I got started.
Wonderful. So let's talk about, is there a cost to this program, and how is this program funded?
Okay, so this program, the way we chose to go about it was to make it a community-wide collaborative. So Clayton Chamber, we very much own this program, but it's a collaborative between Clayton Chamber of Commerce, Triangle East Chamber of Commerce, Benson Chamber of Commerce, the Clayton Rotary has a huge role, Central Rotary of Johnston County, Cleveland Rotary, we have Delta Sigma Theta's Johnston County Alumni Chapter, which Teresa also has to be a member of, extremely service-based, and they actually had started a small version of this, and when we found out about it, we went to them and said, can we link arms or can we stay out of your lane? And we were very fortunate that they joined arms with us to do this program, as well as the Racial Equity Coalition of North Carolina that's here out of Clayton, and the town of Clayton with economic development has really supported the program. The reason all these collaborators are needed is because this program costs us about $25,000 to pull off. We know as entrepreneurs they are hustling, they're working hard, and so this program is free of charge to them. We tell them they have to put the skin in the game and the work in the game because all these resources, and I've always wanted to go back and look at what is the true value, because $25,000 is what it takes us to pull it off with venue and meals and materials and programs that they're using, but that doesn't even go in and account for the volunteer hours put in on the Launch JoCo task force, as well as the mentors and that value of that time. I've always wanted a numbers person to say, hey, I've added it up. So it's free to them, but it is definitely an investment in our community.
Right. So how is it funded?
So it's funded through these organizations. The way that we have gone about it now is through our total resource campaign with Clayton Chamber of Commerce. I became active in that this year because I wanted it to be funded, and so I was hungry to get it funded. So we go out and approach different businesses and ask them to sponsor. So KS Bank is our presenting sponsor. We're very fortunate to have them because we went to them with a concept and said, hey, this sounds like a really great idea. And they trusted us and invested early on several $1,000s to help us get it up off the ground. It goes all the way down to their local small businesses who are pouring back in to that. So we have a huge gamut of funding. The Rotaries did a district grant, which basically said they raised X amount of dollars, and they applied because they're allowed one project a year that they can go and ask for these monies, and they chose to make it this one. So between the monies raised by Johnston and Central Rotary and the matching grants, we just put $8,000 into the program. We also have a microfunding component. That's the piece that we're working really hard on. That seems to always be the weakest link in the program when I look at the different programs across the country doing this. What that basically means is we also know small businesses don't always have a lot of access to capital. So we have worked really hard in this second year to start making some headway and how we can get funding to the entrepreneurs if they need it. So we'll be partnering with an organization this year called the Carolina Community Impact, and they're affiliated with a group called Kiva.org, and Kiva.org is like a GoFundMe for businesses, and they loan anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 that once they vet you, you have 30 days to raise it, and payback rate to them is 90%, so it's a good return for them in that. What we love about it this year, they didn't do last year, is it also will help build credit. We know a lot of times entrepreneurs go out there with this idea and they don't really know how much it's going to cost to run a business. Being a business owner, I see all this and go, gosh, yes. So then they start putting things on credit cards. And so this damages credit. So this is an opportunity for them to get access to some small lending while they're building their credit scores. And now we're building a second layer on having conversations with our county economic development about access to additional funding that can be up to $50,000 in loans, not grants. And so much information, right? There's so much information. We just had our launch kickoff like this past week. So we knew about an organization, Clayton Women in Networking, that has pledged money to go back to grants that are grants, not payback, but grants, to go back to a woman or a couple of women, however we want to use that money, that prove their tenacity through the program and show the measured growth that we'll design that for. And so Tuesday night I had another donor come up, and they have pledged $25,000 on top of that. So we're just sitting back kind of excited and blessed and trying to figure out how to navigate these things. But it's just so necessary. We just sat in a meeting and they said 60% of our workforce in Johnston County are entrepreneurs, small business. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that, you look at a program like this, creating a legacy and building, I feel blessed to be a part of it and to work with such amazing people that are making it happen, because it's not a one-person program, right? It takes the whole community to buy into this. And in the second year, we're starting to see some momentum with that. And that's
really worked.
Where you sit on fire.
Thanks. Well, we talked about the programmatic piece of this.
Yeah.
Let's talk to you guys about, you were the boots on the ground, digging deep, So Teresa, let's talk about your experience as a student. So this was brand new. You took a leap of faith by filling out that application. So what intrigued you about this program, and why did you feel like it could be valuable to the business that you were trying to start?
So when I got my business ideas, during the pandemic, I wasn't, so, we were all home, and I wasn't in a space where I could kind of reach out to people, talk to people. I wasn't seeing people every day. I was working remotely. And so, but what I was trying to do was find programs to be a part of, like that I could do online. And I actually was a part of a small business forum that Wake Chapel Church in Raleigh was doing virtually. And so I met some people through that. Actually, Ms. Gales, I think is her name, was talking about the success of the Wake County program. So I'm like, hey, is there going to be anything like that in Johnston County? She's like, yeah, I think they're working on something. So she put me in contact with Melissa and just told me to, pay attention and see when the program was coming around. So when it did, I applied. And I was so happy because, like I said, in that space, you're isolated, you're trying to do things yourself, you're reaching out to people on the internet that you don't know, trying to put your ideas together. So it was just so amazing to be able to know that there were going to be people in my county, people that I knew, people that I could reach out to help me with my small business. And so, I was glad that it was here, and I was glad to be able to just tap into, such a valuable resource in the county.
Absolutely. I'm glad you took a leap of faith. And I think a lot of people, just like you during COVID, had all these ideas, thinking about how can I avoid the situation that I'm in right now moving forward. So I think a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs really stepped out after COVID and everything opened back up. So Melissa mentioned the kickoff was Tuesday night, and we had one of our mentors give a testimonial. And he said that he could sum it up in 3 words. It was challenging, it was humbling, and it was rewarding. So Angelina, what made you decide, this is another step out in faith of the program that was just under development, to be a mentor and decide to give of your time and talents to this program?
Well, you know me. I like to support basically everything that this chamber does. I've been a member here 10 years, and I'm just so proud of everything that comes out of this building. So I managed to somehow become successful in my business without any formal training and without really any, examples to follow in my family. And I just could have never done it without all of the mentors and coaching that I've had along the way. And so one of my passions is to give back to other, small business owners and, just try to do what I can to be a helping hand. And so as soon as the opportunity presented itself, I knew right away that it was something that I wanted to do, and I thought a lot about what Dave said. I mean, my career has really had a lot of up and downs to where I am now. So I know a lot about what not to do. And I feel, and I'm not embarrassed about that, like you just said, I used to own a salon and I put everything on credit cards, and I had, $30,000 worth of credit card debt and had to declare bankruptcy, and I've come out of all of that. So I've done everything that you're not supposed to do and somehow managed to make it out. So I, I just want to make, it's rewarding to me because, the girl that I was mentoring, she had already a business, but she was running it out of her home, and then she just has kids at home, and there's a lot of distractions, and there's so much work to do, but we just don't really have enough time to do it, and you're working and you're trying to start a business, and so it's rewarding to watch the progress, even if it's slow. We've made a lot of, we've met a lot of her goals that she had. But like you said, we're not stopping after 6 months. 6 months isn't long enough. So anyway, I really enjoyed the process, and I'm excited to see where it takes everybody.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, that's the heart of this program, I think, where it's tangible, and I think we've seen life change because of it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the heart of the program. And, the continuation of mentorship that you spoke of, and then your experience, and from a programmatic place, let's talk about a little bit about the heart, because I think that's very important for people to know.
The January sponsor of Conversations from the Vault is RNE Consulting. Since 2003, RNE Consulting has been providing coverage for more than 1 million lives in over 75,000 companies with legal and comprehensive voluntary benefits to help their clients create a more robust benefit package with Legal Shield and ID Shield. You do a lot online. Most of us don't think about it, but the reality is that your private data and reputation can be stolen with just a few simple keystrokes. Rather than leaving security up to chance, you can proactively arm yourself against cyber crimes and reputation hacking with ID Shield's impressive privacy and reputation management consultation with coverages that include full service restoration, enhanced privacy management, financial accounting monitoring, and so much more. Legal Shield has been offering legal plans to members for over 45 years, creating a world where everyone can access legal protection and everyone can afford it. Legal Shield also provides an employee benefit, allowing your employees the choice to carry personal, legal, and identity theft plans. No matter how trivial or traumatic the legal issue, Legal Shield's coverage includes advanced consultation and representation, 24/7 emergency assistance, family matters, document preparation, traffic, IRS, as well as other additional benefits. For more information, call Ruth Anderson at 919-631-2118 or email ruthanderson@shieldrep.com.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the heart, the thing I was sitting here as I was listening to you guys is the other thing that we so minimize but is so important is the heart of the program. It's about the networking.
Yes.
It's about the building the relationships. And one of the things that we were so programmatic focused our first year because, we were blessed that Wake County has shared openly their thoughts, their ideas. Dr. Katie Gales was huge. Matthew Kane from Midtown Rotary in Raleigh, huge with helping us with the pitfalls, but we were so focused on those pieces, we forgot how valuable the resources were. We didn't minimize it, we just kind of underestimated it. And so the relationships that the group has built with you guys are family, and I can say we're family because as a facilitator, even after graduation, we were getting together for cookouts and meeting for dinner and celebrating milestones with each other. Miss Gail with her real estate development, several people showed up to her town council meeting just to support because of that part of the program and because of the networking.
Yeah, exactly. We felt like, as I was telling the participants the other night, that this is every Tuesday night for a while, and so you do become family because you've been at work all day, and then you come and you're taking time away from your family, but you're building another family and building your business. So we still reach out to each other. We keep a group going on Facebook, and so we can see. A lot of us are friends on Facebook, so we can see how everybody's growing. But when I see that any of the other businesses are going to be somewhere or doing something, I think we all do that. We show up for each other and support each other, and make sure, if we don't know or we don't have it, we make sure we share it with someone else. And so, it's been really, I think, affirming in that space because, like I said, we were in the house for two and a half years, and so it feels really good to get out and to be amongst people who are where you are, where you've been, or where you're trying to go. That's really crucial when trying to have a business, a small business.
And it was evident at the kickoff. Many of you showed up to support this new class, which was amazing to me, and I think it reinvigorated some of you in the first class, and the mentors too, to come back and see the students in person and talk to them as a group, and then encouraging the new class that's coming up. So, yeah.
This year, one of the other things we've done to build on that as well is because of we've touted that, you know, as far as the networking point, it takes you years to build those inroads. Think about how long it's taken you to build these authentic relationships. You may have shaken a hand. We were at something today and someone shook my hand and I was like, I've met you a few times. And then someone did that to me and she was like, I've met you a few times. And I was like, oh, I hate it when that happens. We tell them we're not only giving you a seat at the table, but we're putting you at the head of the table. And so part of what we're doing to further invigorate that this year is that we're engaging with our Clayton Chamber ambassadors, as well as encouraging our mentors. One of the things in the mentorship will be that we're asking you to take them to one of your meetings. So if you're a Rotarian, or if you're a chamber member, or if you're part of Delta Sigma Theta and you get ready to do a service project, take them out there so they can experience how they're going to get engaged in the community, how they're going to get involved. And just to be, I keep telling them it's not a fishing expedition, it's a farming. You have to plant those seeds and really nurture them. And so some people's seeds are sprouting faster than others, but we know that it's planted in good soil and that we're watering it. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of the things, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit, that we've implemented this year, you mentioned additions, and you speak to it as a student and a mentor perspective, is that we have really dug deep in with the Small Business Center at JCC.
Yes, yes.
And so hoping that will increase their, they're starting on the same plane maybe in the class, and then helping us help mentors to build out a piece, because as we said, it was charting new grounds, and so we learned a lot from the first year and we're implementing some changes. So how is that going to help the mentor, student, and the program part of this?
So we're so blessed because not every county's community college system has a small business center out of it. So that is something that always educating the community that even exists is huge. So Suzanne Ross joined us about a year ago now with the JCC Small Business Center, and has really stepped in and taken a lot of ownership, and is really making JCC shine bright, because she agreed with us early on. One of the things we experienced with the first class coming in is that not everyone was on the same page. So it created some chaos at the beginning of the class. It created some self-doubt, and they already had self-doubt going in. So one of our requirements was they had to meet with her. She's a certified business counselor. And so they had to meet with her one-on-one for at least an hour before the program started, so that she knew where our starting point was and she could prepare them for that. And it also gave an inroad, because there were classes that they could already take online and in person to help them grow their business before they even started the launch program. It also benefits because it's free. It's our tax dollars pay for this program. So then they're developing a relationship with her to go beyond, because she also has the ability to access resources for them if there's a certain kind of mentor that they need specifically. And she's legally bound not to share their ideas, so that helps you relax more. Launch JoCo, we don't let competing businesses sit in the same class. Because we know that they're not going to be as open to share with each other. So we try to see if they're going at different angles with that to create some of that. But then the beyond part is we want to help the mentors this year by giving a more structured format of, that's awesome, you want a mentor. I know me, I was approached by Delta a couple of years ago, and they were like, we're looking for mentors to help us with this program. And I was like, yeah, I'll be happy to do that. And then I was like, so just call me and let me know what you need. I needed to be more structured. I needed to know what to do. So we're developing that. We're using a program called Live Plan that the community college is paying for the 1-year subscription, which is $130 a person. And what we're doing is we're building assignments in for our mentors this year to help have those conversations, and also from the beginning to prompt the graduates to show their mentor the program, because they've done all this work and we kind of missed that dot of, duh, some of you guys were reinventing the wheel because you didn't know they just wrote a business plan. Right. So there's definitely lessons learned, and I think one of our blessings in this has also been the open, honest feedback from not only the participant graduates, but the mentors. And I love this, and this, but this really needs some work. And we were just sitting in a meeting today, and they talked about workforce solutions. They said you never hit the finish line. You're always looking for ways to improve. And I thought, that's going to be the key to this program being a
Exactly.
success.
Absolutely. I think
So-
that's going to help a lot because,
Yeah.
I mean, I said that I know a lot about, not what not to do, but I know a lot to do
You do.
also.
Right.
Apparently
I
you do.
do know how
You're
to
very
be
successful,
successful,
obviously.
but it took a while just to understand where she was at with her business and where she wanted to go and what is it that I was supposed to be actually helping her with, and we
Right.
managed to get through it, but that took up a lot of time.
It is.
So I think that, you know, and then people get sick or somebody's ill in the family and now everything's on hold. And so I think that having that structure is going to help a lot this time. Absolutely.
And we agree.
And I just want to say about the Small Business Center, even before I started this program, I remember finding out about them and that they do offer, I wasn't sure, you know, what format my business needed to be in, and so I went to a class and they talked about LLC and different things like that. So people can use, and I'm glad this class is being exposed to it because, you know, you think everything is, you know, people are charging for everything. Right. What the Small Business Center does offer, and it doesn't, and it's like a network of classes because you can go in and you can find different, because everybody has different struggles or different obstacles. So you can go in and you can find a class that's just for you to help with your business. So yeah, adding the Small Business Center in to help is just going to be a wonderful thing.
You bring up a good point with that, and the fact that we've been asked that why do we need to launch JoCo program if we have a small business center? And so you just flagged me because I was like, yeah, because I actually somehow got directed to them when I started my business 9 years ago, and it was a gift because I went in there and I thought they were going to introduce me to clients, and they were like, no, honey, we're making sure your business is set up, and I'm like, but I have a binder, I'm good, I know a lot, right? So nobody comes through entrepreneurship unscathed. We all have our scars and what built us there. You know, we have to dig the hole and then we have to fill it back in to get ourselves back out. And so what Launch JoCo does is we recognize that what I do, as I call it cherry picking, I went and I looked at the curriculum and like they're fantastic speakers. So not only is it a great topic, but it's fantastic speakers. And so I was like, ooh, I want to learn about marketing. And I don't care about taxes. Who needs to worry about my tax obligations? Right, business plan. I started with like this much cash. And so I didn't have to apply for a loan. So I started with this much cash. So why do I need to worry about that? So what Launch JoCo does is it forces the participants to experience all of it, because otherwise we naturally go to what we find interesting, especially when you're working full time. You've got family responsibilities, you're exhausted. You know, we're starting by feeding them supper at night. Number one, because we know they're exhausted, they're distracted. Number two, we want them to have a chance to breathe in a space with each other, just to start having casual conversations before we get into class. So that's the difference in the two programs. But having JCC so heavily involved this year is just going to grow this program by leaps and bounds, and we're just so excited about that.
So, Teresa, I wanted to ask you if anybody's listening to this that is a current student getting ready they're starting tomorrow night, so they're probably nervous and not really knowing what to anticipate. And then anyone with a small business or thinking about starting a business that might be interested in this. So, talk a little bit about the actual education piece of this. What did you experience? How would it benefit them? How did it benefit you?
Okay. So one of the things I hinted around to the other night to it is a sacrifice, just like anything else. Anything that you want, you're gonna have to work hard for. So those Tuesday nights, are a sacrifice. And so, but if you want your business to grow, you want your business to be successful, that's time that you carve out for yourself and your business and your future. And it is like I asked the class, had anybody ever taken a night class? Went to a campus taking a night class. So that's what it's like. You're going in, there's a instructor, so to speak, and you're focused and you're learning and you're open to learning. I think when people are at different places in their business, but I think everybody can get something from it. I think everybody can follow along. And if it's something that like you think you already figured out, you learn more. Because of course, because I had taken a business class about the LLC, I thought I knew that part.
Exactly.
But I get in there and Mr. Moore says a whole bunch of other stuff about forming a business. And so I think, just being open-minded and willing to grow and not thinking, that you know everything about business or that you have everything that you need. Because if you did, you wouldn't be there. And so just being open to learning and open to improving your business. The business plan, to me, it was like I had always avoided stuff like cookbooks and stuff like that. Because it's so
money.
It's so detailed and keeping up with stuff. And so, but it is valuable because you can go back. Like the other night I looked at mine, I was like, oh wow. You can go back and you can see your progress and you can see, it has your thoughts and your plans and your forecasts and your projections, like all of them. That's like really neat. And it's something that if you like me, you keep a lot of notebooks, sticky notes, paper and stuff when you're trying to keep a business. But this program and this experience keeps it all in one place for you. And you can rely on the instructors, you can rely on each other, you can rely on the staff. But you gotta be in it too. You gotta have your head right. There's homework. You got that part. There's homework, but it's homework. It's building your business though.
Exactly.
It's work that you would normally be doing to build your business, just in a more structured, and somebody is expecting you.
It's accountability.
Right, it's accountability.
Somebody is going to, but it's to help you. It's to get you to say, hey, I'm serious about this. I'm putting this down. I'm laying roots for my business, and so this is for me and my business. So I think if people just recognize that this is not something that you should take lightly. It's going to be a commitment. What is it?
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
And it wasn't all just sitting in a classroom taking notes either. There was a lot of interactive. He would teach a chunk of information, and then he would split you up into groups, right? So then you could brainstorm it off of each other. So it wasn't like this, and you're like, I'm trying to stay awake. It was a lot more engaging and involved. But you're exactly right. That homework, those who did their homework are the ones who benefited the most, because given projections, saying that at the rate you're growing, your business is going to be this, and it would even help you set a budget.
It gets you to thinking about the future, because when you don't have any clients or you don't have any business or you're not selling anything, it encourages you to see, hey, but if I did, this is one of the more challenging I think exercises we did was, I think he asked us who our ideal client was. So it got us thinking. Not just feel good idea, but who's going to help you make money.
Right.
You don't really think about that. I think sometimes what that should look like. He asked us about our competition in the area. That helps you figure out, okay, if somebody's doing this and somebody's doing this, and how can I do this and how can I fit in? I like to use an analogy that I ran across when I was just kind of doing some research. It was like go down a bread aisle in a grocery store. There's like thousands of loaves of bread, different companies. If everybody thought, well, I shouldn't make bread because they're like already bread companies out there, then nobody would be making bread. But and of course I did. I went down the bread aisle, and I saw like, oh my gosh, like if they would thought like, I'm not gonna make any more bread, we would all be in trouble.
Exactly.
So we let
like all over
they made all the bread. So so it's just a wonderful experience to encourage you. Because when you're sitting in that space by yourself and you're thinking, I can't do this, and then you see people in that class that have done it because they are at different places. Some people were just starting, some people, already had clients, already had business, people were ready to go into like brick and mortar, while the rest of us were still ruminating the thoughts in our head, and we're like, oh my gosh, like if we just kind of listen to each other and grow with each other, we'll learn a lot, from this experience and from each other, and we did it.
That's wonderful. So one of the things that we're improving upon too is to do a little bit more deep dive with mentors, and so we're putting together a workshop, right? So how do you think that would benefit the mentors? And we're going to be doing a call to action here soon because we have 17 students, and to your point, moving forward, a lot of the mentors that gave up their time are still going to be working with their student from the 2022 class. Right. So we're going to be needing business leaders and stakeholders to step up and move and pay it forward, I guess. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
From your perspective.
Well, I think another thing that you're changing too is that the last year we did the graduation and then we started the mentorship. Yes. And so you already graduated, and now we're supposed to try to schedule these times to meet, and we didn't really have a program to follow, so to speak, and it just kind of like some of the people like fizzled out, you know.
Yeah, because you graduate, you think it's over.
Yeah,
and
you know, yeah. And some people may or may not have gotten a lot of value from that mentoring relationship the way it was. So now, the way I understand it is we're going to do the 12 weeks of class, then the 6 months of mentoring, and then you'll graduate. And so you really do have to participate in the mentoring part. And also with the mentors having access to the live plan that you guys have, like that would have been great for me to have a little bit more insight into what she had done in class. And then I think just having a program that we can follow is going to be really helpful. So because like I've been asked to do mentors for other things too, and I'm like, but what exactly am I supposed to be doing? And I want to make sure that I'm providing value as well. So I think all of those things will make this so much easier for the mentors and so much more beneficial and rewarding for everybody involved. So I personally am the chair of the board this year, so I told Doug that I couldn't mentor, but now I'm kind of like, well, maybe I could if I have all these tools, you know. Yeah. But I don't want to overextend myself because I think it's a really big responsibility that you're taking, and especially now since it's going to be part of the graduation. You just want to make sure that you're going to be able to deliver, you know, what they're expecting.
Yeah. So. And what I was telling is from the mentor standpoint, I don't want people to not mentor because they feel like they're not an expert in the person's area. If your careers matched up, that was awesome. But what we really did during that matching is we do a kind of like a speed dating format. Mm-hmm. And so then what we also looked at is we looked at who clicked with who. We looked at what strengths did the mentors have that were weaknesses for the participants. So one person needed more help with sales and marketing, and the other person needed more on standing operating procedures. And I think as the mentor, you don't have to have all the answers. You have to be willing to connect them to the resources. Again, that's part of that building that network is there's no way possible that I could be all things for a participant. But if I've got my heart in it, then I'm going to make sure that they're connected to the right person to help them with those. So some of those things I remember one we matched up, and I was thinking because this person has a lot of structure to put in their business, but their mentor also had access to investors if they went to the next level. And that was one of the reasons that we intentionally placed that participant with that mentor. So I think you're right with structure. It's going to make a big difference. It is a great commitment, but Dave said it was the most rewarding work he had ever done in his career. And that just made my heart smile because really, just imagine the momentum that we're creating and that 10 years from now we can look back, because what we're also hearing from the inaugural class is right now I'm still hustling to make this happen, but please understand as soon as I can get my footing, then I will transition over and start to get more involved on the logistics side of things, kind of like Teresa's done this year.
And that was important to me. As I told class the other night, it's always been important for me to show up and to take advantage of opportunities, but to also give back and to show people that it can be done. What resources are out there, connect people to resources. Because sometimes all it takes is for somebody to see you do or see you post something, and it's something that you didn't know about. So it's my intention. It's always been my intention to take whatever is given to me and turn around and give that to back to the community, and in my particular case, women, and then more specifically, minority women, because a lot of times we don't see, and it's great to be around women, because you don't see a lot of that, and not so much. It doesn't have to be women-led organizations, but just to be in a community of women helps a lot. So I want people to see that, but I also want them to see, I'm from this community. I've always been in this community, and so I want them to see that there are positive things happening. That this community is growing. The opportunities and resources are growing. They're here, and people should just take advantage of it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, 80% of last year's class was female. Right, and so when we started looking at it, we're collecting some data now because we want to apply for grants down the road. So as we look at that, I just thought that was very interesting because I didn't think it would be that. And I think this year it's going to be about the same. I'm sitting here thinking, I think there are 2 guys out of 17, and So 15 women, we do see it as a diversity initiative because we are seeing a lot of minority and different, also diversity in the types of work being done. And I think that's great because I think you're exactly right. We have a program here called Bridge. And Bridge is all about building those relationships in our community so that we are more inclusive. And I think this does a great job of getting it involved. And
I like how it's spread across the county too,
yes,
geographically.
yes, absolutely. I think it can only benefit, right? It can only benefit because then we plant a seed here, and we spoke with someone from a small town at this meeting earlier today that was like a workforce development, economic development thing. And she was from another municipality in their economic development. She's like, I need to know more about this program. And I'm like, how did we miss you? So for those that are interested, we'll be taking applications in September of next year. And you can go to our website right now and put that you're interested so that we can flag you and say, hey, applications are open. Because we want to generate the buzz, and we want to recruit the brightest from across the county.
And one of the things, Dana, that I think sometimes we overlook, or maybe we don't speak enough about, is the effort of the chambers. I don't know that any of us would have had the experience or the exposure to the chambers had it not been for this program. Like she said, Benson, Triangle, Clayton, that exposure. There was also a donor who donated chamber memberships to us last year. So that was very, very, very nice of them to do. And like I said, just an exposure to the chambers. Because from the outside looking in, you don't really know, what they do and how they can benefit you. And you learn a lot from just getting the newsletters and finding out what's going on with the chambers, and how you can be involved as an individual as well as a business. And so I think that's, I hope you don't feel underappreciated, because we really appreciate
But I really think it has brought a light to the chambers across the county, and it's been a pleasure to work collaboratively on some projects, and we're doing more and more of that because our goal is to help businesses succeed, and so we love working across the county with each other.
And when we talk about, this is where I thought you were going with, I'm glad you said that, but where I thought you was also going is, I may be the program manager for this, but this program would not be possible if I didn't have the chamber support, and especially Clayton, because I consider myself accountable to Dana. She is the person she is my check and my balance, and when the world seems on fire and we're trying to figure out a workaround, because nothing ever goes smoothly, right? That's just not life. I know that I've been able to depend on you guys, and I've never once worried. I mean, if we want to be completely transparent, our first year, we didn't have fundraising efforts set in place because it was this really cool idea, and we were working to put it in motion, and we were working to get the partners to the table, and part of getting the partners to the table, we're saying the only skin you've got to put in is your name.
Right.
So they didn't have to donate money towards the program, and there were some organizations that did step up. Delta was huge. That first year with contributions, and so the chamber really picked up a lot of that $25,000 bill and really offset that, and that meant that Dana had to work really hard with her budget to make sure that we could find this where it wasn't anticipated. So we are very thankful for all the organizations that support us, but Clayton being our foothold. And the only thing that frustrates me is that the angel investor never would let us reveal their name to who, because they paid for the membership, right? And that was just absolutely incredible and generous, and it just frustrated me that person could be recognized, because I still want to just blurt it out to the world. So bad.
That's so funny.
But I've kept it a secret.
You mentioned the Total Resource Campaign earlier, and I was really excited because now that we've added Launch JoCo to Total Resource Campaign, that was probably the thing that sold out quickest, and we have fully funded everything that we put in there for marketing and sponsorship opportunities for all of our investors that wanted to get involved. So that was really exciting. Yeah,
the visibility. That's the thing is, with Total Resource Campaign, I hate selling, which is ironic that I'm in business for myself, but I need to sell to make a living, and I hate it. But when you looked at the visibility that this program gets and talking to investors in the community and going, you're an idiot if you don't. Because we got featured twice last year in the Triangle Business Journal. KS Bank, I'm like, dude. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, dude. You know, because there's just been so much exposure. So not only is it a great investment, because when you're doing things like that, you're investing in your community. It's not always about what you're going to get back out of it, but the fact that then their organizations are recognized at the county level, because when we have these events and the graduation kickoff in November this year, like that's going to be a who's who of everything event. So if you want your business to be noticed, why would you not put your stinking name on these sponsorships where the whole world can say, well, what company is that? You know, it's just a no-brainer for me. And this year I had to invest, because last year I didn't invest in Launch JoCo because I thought, I'm investing, I'm putting all this time in, and everybody knows who Melissa Overton is, but nobody knows who medicaltraining.me is. And I was like, oh, you idiot. So this year I bought a sponsorship. I was like, that's not happening again. So yeah, it's just a great opportunity to invest in something that
It's really making a difference.
it's a legacy program.
It is.
It really is.
It's something you can see. It's
I can't
tangible.
explain it.
Yeah. So I think we could sit here and talk about Launch JoCo all day.
All day.
But I think for time's sake, we probably need to wrap it up. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that you feel like that we need to bring up about this program? Other than, I know we're going to be seeking mentors. We're excited for our class to begin tomorrow night. Anything else?
No, it's just a wonderful experience, a wonderful program. It will pay rewards that you probably can't measure to people who would not otherwise have the opportunity or the support, who couldn't afford the support. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful investment for businesses, for individuals. It's just a wonderful investment for all of us.
Well, thanks for being with us for our first conversations at the Vault.
Thank you for all that you do.
This is amazing, and thanks for the sponsorship of this podcast. And we're so excited. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.